Welcome back to the Cutty and Govy show down here, Palm Beach, Boca Raton, Delray Beach. Govy, how you doing?
Doing good. Doing
Look
good.
at Govy with the tan. He's busy selling watches like crazy. I come in here, he's pulling his hair out. I thought there's a depression. People are really buying watches right now.
Market's doing okay right now.
But I mean, are prices good on watches? I don't, what's
They've
happening?
actually they've come down a little bit,
So but the good stuff is still expensive, right?
good stuff still is still good. Certified pre-owned's doing great.
Is there still a list, or you can go in and buy a watch?
Still a list.
Oh, there's still
Still a list.
still a list. Well, let's talk about somebody who probably has 15 or 20 watches. Michelle Obama. She hates America. I don't friggin' understand it. I can't even look at this woman. She was First Lady of the United States. She is a racist. She's a mean, horrible person. And all she talks about is how she hates America. I mean, I don't get it. She said she didn't want to go to the inauguration because it was her time. She said she didn't want to do this because it's her time. Well, let me explain something to you, Michelle. When you become a first lady or a president, it's like mafia code where you're in the life forever. You don't get out of the life. You stay in the life and you're in that life. You are a first lady. Requirements are you go to inaugurations, whether it's the other party or not, whether it's Trump you hate. You go to every funeral for a president. That's what you do. I don't think she went to Jimmy Carter's funeral, did she? She
No,
didn't.
she passed.
She didn't even go to Jimmy Carter's funeral. That's where, Obama, Bush, and Trump were talking women and bros, right?
Well, she said she didn't have anything to wear.
She didn't have anything
But
to wear.
I think it's I'm not sure of the history of my presidents. Did any president ever have a divorce after they left office?
But who even cares? She's a bitch. Divorce her. Give her
Well,
half
no,
the
I'm
money.
just saying, has there been a president?
Oh, I don't even know.
Because I'm saying, let's say they got a divorce. Why does she need to be at any, like Barack Obama was the president? He's going to have to be at all these
Yes.
funerals. If they get a divorce, why does she have to be? Why you say that she's in it like you're in it
Yeah.
like in the mob? I disagree.
But I mean, why get a divorce? She lives on the left coast. He lives on the east coast. What's the difference to?
Because let's say he wants right now with all the
Wants to get
paparazzi.
some young tang. He wants to get some young stuff.
I don't know if he would use those words, but I think that he would basically say that if he wants to go out on a date and he doesn't want a person just to meet in
He
a
does it anyway.
secluded hotel or in
Yeah.
a bar, I think he wants to if he wants to be seen with someone and live a normal life, he's going to need to get a divorce.
Gabby, let me tell you how it works. So he has Secret Service agents. He always has a shill guy with him. So it's him, Secret Service agents, the shill guy, and he can take any girl out with him. It doesn't matter.
But let's say-
it's not him and
But
he'll
let-
never be alone with another woman, even if he's divorced.
No, but say to say he wanted to meet a girl and have maybe a relationship. Maybe he wants to get remarried. How does he do that? No,
But
and-
isn't he gay? I thought he was gay.
I don't know. I know that one thing is during this big interview that she had on her podcast, she was talking about transgender. It's just a subject that I don't know.
It's a bad subject for us,
but
Gabby. It's a bad subject.
But
for
she
us.
was talking about it and she let it slip. She said, I think she was talking to her brother. She just said, me speaking as a man. She slipped and said, me as a man. And now all over the internet, all you're hearing is she a man?
So let me tell you my one story. We'll get off of Michelle Obama. She leaves the White House. She's now in her mansion in Washington, D.C. that they bought for 8 or 10 or 12 million. She's interviewed by Oprah Winfrey. The doorbell keeps ringing, and Oprah says, aren't you going to get the door? The doorbell keeps ringing. She says, I haven't gotten a doorbell in 8 years at the White House. I'm not going to start now. That's her America. That's what we're talking about. She can't even get her friggin' door and her doorbell. I don't want to hear about you, Michelle, anymore.
Their house in Martha's Vineyard's up for sale.
I saw that 28 million or something.
I don't know what I think they paid.
Are you going to buy it, Govy?
I think they paid like $9 million for it.
You know, that's a bastion of Democrats there. You wouldn't fit into that.
You know why they said
neighborhood.
that it's up for sale?
Why?
Because the chef died there. There's
Yeah.
a lot of, they're making waves. They're starting to find stuff out, you know. Hunter Biden all of a sudden dropped his little case. You know, they're digging. They're coming up with some, how about like Marco Rubio?
But that sounds like they're setting up for a divorce, less assets to divide
That's
up.
what I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that
He probably hates it there. She's on the left coast. She left, you know, the East Coast. She's gone.
she's LA and Hawaii.
Yeah.
Or whatever they decide to split
Right.
up. But I think I think that's what you do. You're starting to split up some of the
Well, let's talk about splitting up. John Elway, he split up his best friend's head, and then the guy died.
that it's an interesting case.
What's the story,
They were at
Govy?
Stagecoach, which is a concert in Palm Springs. There was a party, so obviously everybody's drinking.
John Elway, the great football.
He was with his best friend and his agent. They're actually business partners. They own a vineyard in Napa called Seven Cellars, and very successful. The guy also represented Ronnie Lott, a bunch of other Hall of Famers, and they were all drinking. And they got into a golf cart. I think all four of them. You know, the two spouses and them. And he took a turn, or he jerked the thing a little bit, and he fell out. You know,
Not John Elway, the agent, his friend.
Jeff Spurbeck is his name. He fell out, 62 years old, hit his head, and basically he was on life support. They donated his organs.
Are you an organ donor?
No,
I am. I don't know why my organs aren't any good. Why anybody
it
would
could be.
want them.
I just think that you never know what happens if you need your eyes. You don't want to like.
No, but I mean, if like I go on whatever they call that, where they have to pull the plug, my driver's license, I'm
says
an organ donor. But who would want you want my liver? You want
my liver? I might need a liver, you know. But anyway, that's like a devastating
So
thing.
does he get arrested for vehicular manslaughter if they can prove he's drunk?
No, because he's the one who called 911. They did everything, but they never gave him a blood alcohol test.
I need a lawyer to call in on the show. If a golf cart doesn't have a license plate and isn't street legal, and he obviously was drunk, well, we're assuming he was at a party, and he was negligent in his driving, the guy flies out of the golf cart, hits his head, dies. Is that vehicular manslaughter?
I'm saying to him, it's an accident that it's not. I'm saying the people that would be held responsible could be the country club where the event was at. Someone let him drive a golf cart, you know, so they're the ones that are going to be insured and everything. And, you know, John Elway could also be responsible. As far as manslaughter goes, you have to do a blood alcohol test. 3 days later, he could turn around and said, I had a beer. I had 2 beers.
Well, Govy, let me explain something to you. There's a bartender that served him 7 drinks. There's video camera in the place that he was at. I mean, anymore today, there's 10 cameras everywhere.
He's not paying for the drinks, though.
I understand,
So
but
there's
there's a
no record.
bartender that they're going to shine the bright light in his eyes.
He could say, I didn't finish any of the drinks.
Well,
He could say, I took a sip, I put it down. It's not like they're
Govy,
charging me.
You know, John Elway is not quite as famous as you, but I'm sure when he goes to a party, there's a lot of eyes on him. There's a lot of people staring at him, and they're watching him drink. They're watching him slur. A brilliant lawyer could put 2 and 2 and 4 together.
Not without
and
a
get
blood
them.
alcohol test, and they could also say that the other guy was drunk and he fell out.
Do you know what I have to say, Govy? Gone in 60 seconds.
already
John
half gone.
Elway, you're done, man.
No, he
You're
isn't.
finished.
He's
You're
already-
finished. You're finished.
Finish. He's not playing anymore. He's already half
Isn't
gone.
he an announcer for $20 million a year?
he's
Doesn't
nothing.
he? He owns
No.
car
He owns
dealerships.
car dealers. That doesn't mean anything.
Gone in 60 seconds. It's over for him. All right. Shannon Sharp.
Now that's gone in that's gone in 8 seconds. That is
This guy, he had one foot in his mouth. He keeps shoving the other one in.
This is a guy that thinks. First of all, he's so full of himself that he thinks he's bigger than anything. So when this story broke and it was a 20-some-year-old girl, he thought, I'm going to get ahead of this story and I'm gonna like show everybody her texts to me. Like she doesn't have a side. So he gets ahead of it and tries to make her look like a fool. Yet she has audio. She actually recorded his voice and he said some damaging stuff. And here's how
Who
crazy.
does that?
Well, here's how idiotic he is. First of all, he has these unbelievable podcasts. One is Shay's
With
his
Ocho
thing,
Cinco
the
or
Shay
whatever.
Club, yeah, with Ocho. And by the way, it's very funny.
Very funny.
Very funny
And he's a
podcast.
sharp dresser. He looks
I
great.
listen to it.
Handsome guy.
You
Muscular
know,
guy.
well,
like
a lot
me.
of people are now asking, is he on steroids because like he has anger management?
Rage.
Right, he has rage. So he was at a Los Angeles Laker game 3 weeks ago. The Lakers were playing. I forget what team they were
Was
playing.
he on the wood?
Yeah, he was on the he was
He's
on the wood,
floor.
and he got into a fight with the other team, like the Memphis Grizzlies,
Yeah, he's
where it
on-
was confrontational. That the other team, they had to be separate. When was the last time a fan ever had to be
Mark
separated?
Cuban?
He was an owner. He wasn't a fan. He was an owner. But these guys, they had to separate him. So here it is. This guy was about to sign a $100 million podcast agreement, not to mention his ESPN deal with Stephen A. Smith. All that is gone.
Well,
The
does Stephen...
podcast he gets to keep, I think, but he won't
Yeah, but
sign
who's
the
going to
con-
watch it? Does Stephen A. Smith get hit with collateral damage here? I mean, the more he talks about it and sticks around, isn't Shannon Sharp going to take him down too?
Well, he's coming down a little bit because
I mean, he's going to get
he
taken
stuck
down.
up for the guy. He personally brought the guy in. People knew like what sometimes maybe Shannon Sharp's character was. I mean, his whole Shay Club is talking about girls and what they do. And you got Ocho Cinco's funny as can be.
Well,
And-
don't you think also right now they're looking into all of his past, Stephen A. Smith, they're checking him out really good, trying to take him down
And there's a
too.
lot of people that don't like Stephen A. Smith because he
I
got
don't
his
like
$100
him.
million contract.
Yeah.
I like the guy. He's
He talks too loud.
he's a little on the angry side, but I go way back with
All
Stephen
right,
A.
let's talk about another going in 60 seconds. Bill Belichick. One of the greatest coaches, if not the best coach ever. Maybe I don't know. Tom Landry was. There's some great coaches out there, but
Bill Belichick.
Andy Reid. Ugh.
But Bill Belichick, if you wanted to put down one line that he's famous for is do your job. Like in football, he doesn't want to hear about any outside noise. It's just do your job. Here's a person with a 23-year-old. He's older than her grandfather.
Let's give a little foundation. Bill Belichick, who's 4?
74 years old.
He's dating a 23-year-old, claims she's a former cheerleader. I say she was either OnlyFans or a escort.
Well, her name's Jordan Hudson. Jordan Hudson was a cheerleader, like a real cheerleader in school, like one of those, like that you win awards for. But her parents were fishermen in, I believe, in Maine. Their business went under. Her mom owns a sex toy business in Provincetown, Massachusetts. A little wildish area.
Right.
So she's a little out there, her daughter and stuff, and her friends think the same
She's
thing.
good looking too.
But she's very like the standing joke now was everybody's going up to Bill Belichick and they're like, Bill, blink twice if you need help.
Yeah,
because
send me a life raft here.
right, and they're also showing you memes of the girl walking into his office, how he first met her, and the first thing she did is she whipped off her skirt,
She's
whipped
a
off her
hooker.
skirt, and yeah, so.
I say, so the whole controversy, even Charles Barkley is now coming out and saying, Bill, you need help, call me, I'm there for you. That she's controlling his every move. He did an interview. He just came out with a new book. He did an interview, and she sat in the room the entire time and wouldn't let him answer questions. How did you meet your girlfriend? Tell us about your girl.
That was one. She sat there and it broke up the interview 10 times and then took him out of the interview for 30 minutes. So CBS thought with all these disruptions, it's part of the story now. Like it's really part of the story of why he can't do an interview without it being interrupted. And he wore a sweatshirt that was older than she was. It had a ripping it. Like I think the sweatshirt was 30 years old.
I saw that the Navy shirt.
So, like, why is he going on national?
Because that's his look. He always wore that sweatshirt on the sidelines.
Come on,
Yeah.
the guy's selling a book. I mean, so the here's his biggest problems that he has. His son, Stephen Belichick, who was the defensive coordinator for the New England Patriots, who's also now the defensive coordinator for the University of North Carolina football team. His wife, so it's Bill Belichick's daughter, sat there and said, "There's a problem. She has a problem with this girl." So it was that comedian, Nikki Glazer, said, "Hey, publicists, it's okay. That's what publicists do." And Stephen Belichick's wife said, "No, they don't. They don't break up an interview. They don't take the limelight. They don't take someone outside of an interview." She basically blasted this girl like, you got to leave my father-in-law alone right now.
So this is my prediction, and I was right about Trump wrecking the economy. Gavi's been right on a lot of football picks. This is my prediction. She has dirt on him, whether it's pictures of him wearing ladies' underwear or whether something. She has some serious dirt and is blackmailing this guy so that he either has to write her a super huge check because he's rich, right? Isn't he rich?
Here's where you're
Or
wrong.
something. She's blackmailing him.
There's no blackmail because she doesn't have to. Because I'll tell you why. Recently, she has bought 3 properties in Boston. She bought a property in Dorchester, Massachusetts.
Right.
She bought a house in Cape.
Where's she getting the money?
And by the way, he is giving her the money, and she took mortgages out on each one. She bought 3 properties in 3 months, all over $1 million.
Okay.
With a mortgage.
Right.
So he could co-sign because she's only 23 years old. So if he co-signs, you can get a mortgage. No one's giving her 3 properties as investments with no job. I mean, it's impossible. Now,
so what? Why is she? How does? So this guy was.
He bought her a car, bought her a Porsche.
This guy was one of the most ruthless coaches. I mean, he had no feeling coach. I mean, he had no emotion. How is this guy being controlled?
So she bought the 3 properties, so she has income coming in. My prediction is he gets fired at the University of North Carolina.
100%. Gone in 60 seconds.
And
left foot, right foot, survival guy for business and life.
And the reason why he'll get fired at North Carolina.
He has to get fired.
But here's the reason why. I think when you're a college kid, you're big man on campus. When you're playing Division I football for like the University of North Carolina, you got 60 million girls that are right there.
Yeah.
The last thing you need is to see your 73-year-old coach being controlled by a 23-year-old. They have to be looking at him saying, "Hey, I just can't respect this guy. I can't respect that this guy is jumping through hoops. The guy who was only about football is letting this outside noise come into our locker room." And I think that the players of North Carolina are going to say, the guy's not normal. He isn't the Bill Belichick of the New England Patriots.
Govy, this is the only thing I agree on with you today's show. Bill Belichick will not be there. First of all, the season is like, when's it started? A month?
He's going to be there in the beginning, but if he loses a couple of games, it's over. And I think that they're
what are they rated, or do they have a good number?
Yeah,
they're top 20?
He brought all his pro ones there, but sticking with football if you want to. There's 2 stories: Shedeur Sanders dropping to the 5th round.
Deion Sanders. Let's talk about that first.
Okay, he drops to the 5th round. He dropped to the 5th round because his interviews with these teams were so horrible that basically he had brought in his headphones. He was listening to music. He didn't do his homework where they gave him a book so they could ask him questions about plays. He didn't care. There were certain teams he said he messed up the interviews on purpose because he didn't want to be drafted by them.
But how about his dad? Do you think they want Deion Sanders on the sidelines screaming that you didn't play my kid or my kid should go back in?
And that's the problem. The problem is, let's say not every quarterback that gets drafted plays right away. Aaron Rodgers didn't play right away. Brett Favre didn't play right away. Tom Brady didn't start right away. There's tons of players. Hurts from the Eagles, he was backing up Wentz. Sometimes you got to sit there and wait a year. And no one wants to know that Deion's going to say, If the other quarterback throws 2 interceptions, he might say, "Why didn't you put my son in?"
Right.
And also, the guy has a Gatorade commercial. He celebrated, by the way, with being drafted with the 5th round with his Louis Vuitton suitcase filled with $1 million in it. What person do
He
you
has
know
$1 million
in
in
his suitcase?
cash.
That he had.
Wow.
So I mean, listen, he was making 5.
Do you sell him that bling that he's wearing?
No, some jewelers. Another
I mean,
ridiculous.
that
And all the
bling
braces.
is unbelievable.
Did you see his dressing with all the
Yeah.
braces? But he was making $5 million last year. He's only going to make 400,000 this year. So that's
well,
a
he'll
big.
still make the $5 million in endorsement
No, he
money.
won't. What endorsements? He made $5 million just in NIL money.
Oh,
so
wasn't-
he loses that. That's like he's taking a pay cut of $4.5
Right.
million. A Gatorade, by the way, the thirst quencher. What thirst quencher? Watching a guy wearing a tie and jacket that doesn't suit up.
Oh, he'll never wear a tie and jacket.
Okay, so
He'll be like Valinsky.
So how do you
know?
give him? You can't choose another player. Just get Hurts.
I'll tell you
get
what.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what I think happened. I think it was a smart move on the Cleveland Browns' part because they took a guy in the 5th round. Who cares about the 5th round? Now they have a really good collegiate player on the bench. Jalen Hurts, any number 1 starting quarterback gets hurt. The Cleveland Browns can trade him out and get a 2nd-round pick.
100%.
Right?
That is the game plan now.
That's the game plan.
The game plan
I would
is not
take
for
the
him
guy
to
in the
be on
5th.
not to be on the Cleveland Browns. I really
Right.
thought the Eagles were going to trade up for him, but their game plan is what can we get with this 5th round
I
pick?
agree.
And I think they can get a 2nd round pick for the guy.
They're figuring all this will settle down. They'll get halfway through the season. Maybe he'll get a couple snaps in preseason. Maybe he'll get some, a little action.
By the way, Russell, the guy from the New York Giants now, that their quarterback, if he gets hurt, he could be a New York Giant. He'll be starting, someone. Look, if the Eagles, if Jalen Hurts gets hurt, I wouldn't be surprised if they give him a call.
Well, I mean, he's out there, and you can get a decent pick. You can move. This is a clever way to move up the draft by taking this guy in round 5, wait till somebody gets hurt, and maybe get a 2nd
But
rounder.
Shedeur Sanders has part 2 to this story. Part 2 to this story is the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons had Shedeur Sanders' telephone number on his phone, on his iPad. His kid, who goes to Ole Miss, took the number, gave it to his friend, and they both gave the prank phone call to Shedeur Sanders. The league just fined the Atlanta Falcons $250,000 and the defensive coordinator $100,000.
I think they got off too cheap.
I think Atlanta is not just doing that. I think Atlanta is going to now penalize the father even more.
Yeah, I mean, that's too cheap. It should be millions. I mean, you can't do that.
So
It just kind of like.
But it wasn't
ruins
the father that did it. So does he pay the price of a kid?
Is the kid Is the kid any part of the team in any way?
No, he's a student.
Well, the father gave the kid the number.
He didn't give him the number. They're saying that the kid sold on the iPad and took it.
Yeah, the kid. Does your kid see your iPad? My kid doesn't see my iPad.
No.
Okay. The father said, "Look, do this for me. I don't want to track back to me. You do."
I don't think he just left the number that it's on that computer. I think the kid searched it and wanted to know if Deion Sanders was there.
I mean, it was too much on the news. $350's too cheap of a penalty. $350's nothing. These teams are worth $9 billion.
If I'm Atlanta, what I would do is I would demote the guy to backfield coach, assistant backfield coach, and if the guy leaves, he leaves. That's
Well,
what I
let
would
me
do.
ask you a question. Talking about demotion, let's say you're in a playoff game, okay? And let's say there's 5 minutes left in the game and it's a really tight game. And one of your players gets in a fist fight on the field. They're wearing helmets. There's no way you can hurt anybody. You can't punch somebody, but they get in a fight and now you get penalized 15 yards and you lose the game or whatever. I'm always of the mindset, you're an idiot. You got in a fight in the middle of the game. I would bench that guy. I don't care if it's my best player. You got to have self-control. You
Well,
can't.
that you can do, absolutely. This is like, it's kind of tough. Like, I look at it, if
Why?
I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I'm looking at it. Why am I being penalized? If I'm the owner of the Atlanta Falcons, I'm saying, why am I eating this
Because
250,000?
it's under your umbrella. This is your company. This is your team.
So how do I get that money back from this coach?
Maybe you tell the coach he's got to pay it back to you. I don't care if it takes 5 years, the next contract, take it off or something. If you know.
Right, I could say, I think you should be entitled to say, work
I mean,
it off.
what's a coach make? $1 million a year, $1.5 million
Yeah.
a year, $2 million a year?
I mean, let's put it this way: $100,000 significant, and then if it's another 250 on top, pay it off.
Well, Arthur Blank, who owns the Falcons, is
Right.
pretty rich, but he seems to be a pretty fair guy. Another guy that has a very
This
young
is his
girlfriend.
first year coach. The guy's only started with this team, doesn't even have a track record.
What kind of coach is he?
Defensive coordinator.
Oh, so he's making $2 or $3 million a year.
Probably making $2 or $3 million.
Yeah, I'd hit the guy with all 250. I'd
But-
make him pay the 100 plus the 250.
350.
Yeah, if he's making $3 million a year, he's an idiot. He gave the kid the phone number. It's apparent.
And I also say that the kid's not allowed on the premises of our.
I agree.
He can't even be a part of anything with our team.
I agree. Well, Govy, I mean, we talk sports and all that nonsense the whole show. Let's talk Trump. How can we not talk Trump?
Wait. We got other things that we
got
can do.
other things.
We're not
in
just
Trump
on
yet.
politics here.
I want to talk that ABC interview
Yeah,
with
let's
Trump.
talk-
That was great.
we could
but
talk the
let's talk the other things.
Let's talk first 60 minutes with Scott Paley, CBS. The guy gave his closing thing on this past 60 minutes. The producer is stepping down, and he's stepping down because he doesn't think he's going to have his creative capabilities, because CBS is in negotiations with Skydance to sell Redstone. Shari Redstone is looking to sell the company. And part of the deal is they have a lawsuit that Donald Trump has a, $2 billion lawsuit or a $60 billion lawsuit?
Smart business.
Right. So there's going to be a settlement.
Sure.
The settlement's going to be over $1 billion.
Well, the other one was $800 million.
That was
wasn't it?
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
So this is going to be $1 billion. And they had to kind of blast Donald Trump. If I'm Scott Pelley and I'm now going up to my own employer and I'm trying to tell them that they're wrong, I think I might get rid of Scott Pelley. And the show goes on.
From my past, I'm pretty familiar with the
News
news business, and there's a lot of news people that are talented across America. I mean, there's a lot of them. So, I mean, getting rid of Scott Pelley isn't a big deal. I'd bounce that guy in a minute.
With artificial intelligence and robots coming, why can't you just get a person that looks like Scott Pelley and read the news?
I would bounce him. He's an idiot. Now let's talk about Trump and the ABC interview. That was
with Terry Moran.
I mean, if you are ABC, NBC, MSNBC, are you going to take an interview with Trump where Trump's going to look at you and say, "You're an idiot. I never heard of you"?
Well, the first thing that Donald Trump does now, that's a big difference, is because of his lawsuit with CBS and the Kamala Harris editing, he makes it where there's no editing. So you can't have an interview like ABC and think that you could edit it and clip it out. Trump says no. Like, it has to be
live.
Everything that goes out there. That's why Donald Trump, at the very end of that interview, he said to Terry Moran, "You're fake news, and ABC is the worst of the fake news." They could have edited that out. They can't edit it out under these new rules.
Yeah.
And he caught him. He caught Terry Moran. There was one question Terry Moran asked him, and Donald Trump says, "How do you know that? Like, how do you know that?" And Terry Moran says, "Well, I don't know that." And Trump says, "Well, you made a statement. So where were you getting your information? Was it a leak?"
Right.
And was it a leak? And Terry Moran backtracked, and Donald Trump basically took him to the
But
woodshed.
I have a question. What's the truth? Trump is saying the tattoos on the guy's hand said MS-13, and they show a picture.
No, he didn't say that. What Trump was basically saying is the symbols mean MS-13. What was photoshopped is on top of those symbols was They had an M for one of the
Oh.
codes. So that way the layman people, the regular people that are
Me.
watching TV can say it's spelled out MS-13.
I thought I didn't understand it.
But if you didn't take those out, anybody who is in that crime thing knows it means MS-13. Just like if you get a tear from an eye, you might know if you're a Crip or you're a Blood. It means something. And they just were trying to make it out for people like you as to prove that and Terry Moran saying you photoshopped it. They just hired someone, Trump and his administration, that's the expert on it. It's 100% Tren de Agua,
So
thing.
crazy. Talking about the tear in the eye, I'm watching this guy on Instagram. His name's Greatness. Do you know who he is? He gives out all this money all the time. He's got all the tattoos on his face. I don't know what he does. His name is Greatness. We have to look it up. Maybe Cole could look up Greatness, whoever Greatness is. He hands out thousands of dollars and
Oh.
says, I'm going to bless you, and gives all this money out.
I don't know.
Maybe he could come into our
I don't know,
podcast studio.
But as far as politics right now, I'm just looking at
I'm exhausted.
Well, I'm looking at it like there's a judge today that just ruled the Democratic Party. They want this guy back. They want this guy back from El Salvador. So now it came out that his wife. Another thing is she was scared for her life. He threatened to kill her.
Beat her up.
I mean, here's a guy that was
MS-13.
He was MS-13. He
beat his wife up.
He was trafficking kids, trafficking women. He was he was MS-13. Why are they fighting to get this guy back into our country? And then what are you going to do with him? If I'm Donald Trump, I would go right up to the guy of Maryland, the Senator of Maryland. I would say, okay,
bring him back.
I'm bringing him back. Where should we put him? How about this? Pritzker, Highland Park, Illinois. Shapiro? How about Villanova, Pennsylvania, or Gladwin? You want to go Massachusetts? Okay, we're going to go Nantucket. Where do you want him? Where do you want this guy?
But he goes to a prison in America. Why bring him back? What's the point? Where's he go? He has to go to a prison, right? What's he get out on bail?
The object is, if you took 20 million people into this country, we didn't vet 20 million people.
Right.
We didn't keep them in line. The rules were we had to bring them in. So how can you live in society where the rules are you have to allow them in the country? Now you got 20 million, but the rules are also you can't kick them all out. You got to give them trial. I keep thinking the whole thing is they're saying his constitutional rights. I'm thinking if you're not an American, what constitutional rights do you have? Am I old
like
school?
So much energy is being wasted on this guy. It's exhausting.
I don't think he should. If you're not an American and you come in illegally and you commit a crime, what constitutional rights should you get?
This judge now that got arrested for helping an immigrant out the back of her courthouse. I mean, it's insane.
10 years. I'd give her 10 years because you got to stop the message with everybody else. But here's the bottom line in politics right now. Kamala Harris just spoke yesterday. She was embarrassing, bringing up the elephants with the San Diego Zoo during the earthquake when they all formed to protect the baby elephants. She's trying to say that the Democratic Party needs to try to protect. They think Donald Trump is the worst thing in the world. Meanwhile, he zipped the border closed.
Well, let's talk about his first 100 days.
Okay, he closed the border.
They can't argue that.
But wait, not only did he close the border, we were lied to for 4 years saying the border was secure, and 20 million came in, and he also said he can't stop it from coming in unless he has passes a law. That was all a lie. They purposely let 20 million.
Right.
Why?
So he did that. How about he wrecked the stock market?
He didn't wreck it 100% yet. He said,
Govy, you haven't sold any of your stock, but there's a lot of school teachers that were so scared. They sold a lot of their stock when it was crashing down.
It didn't crash right now.
They were afraid it was going to go to zero.
What's the market right now?
Right now, it's down 4%, let's say.
Okay. So meanwhile, his tariffs, his deals hasn't even come in yet. So now what happens when all of a sudden India says you got a deal?
Oh, and it's going to come back, but still people,
So why panic? It went down when Biden came. The market is you're supposed to look at it. All
How about Doge is a failure? They said trillions. It's 165 billion.
So it's 165 billion, still 165 billion. Plus, he did shine a light that number can keep saving you year after year. He did get rid of some of that stuff. How about Doge figured out and gave it to Marco Rubio that they were spying on other Americans. They were spying on Elon Musk.
Yeah. All right. So eggs went down. Gas is back up. I was paying $3.23 a gallon.
It's still down. It's still down.
I was paying $3.23 a gallon last night. I paid $4.17.
It's still going to be. It's still going down. He did a deal with Ukraine, the mineral rights, which maybe can lead to.
Is that really a deal? I mean, Ukraine gets all the money until whatever their country's rebuilt.
We had no deal. We just gave them money.
But what did we get out of it? So they get all the money till their entire country's rebuilt, and then we may see some. So what kind of deal is it? We get to buy it from them, or what's the deal?
Well, first of all, by us having a presence there helps give the protection to them that they feel like they could sign a peace treaty.
Cares
that you could get a peace treaty. No, because that could help the whole peace thing. Because they're not coming into NATO, so they're not getting NATO. They're going to have to give up Crimea, which they already gave up 12 years ago, and they're going to have to give up some land. So that's.
And did Vlad do that without coming in here in that Green Army fatigue? He did it like over there.
He did it at the Pope's.
He signed off at the Pope's. And by the way, Vlad, Kent, Gushner, Boyd's, Philadelphia. How do you go to the Pope's funeral not wearing a suit? Is there something wrong with you?
Well,
I don't get it.
Well, I got to tell you, the Macron from France, when he saw Trump talking to Vlad, to Zelensky, he was walking over that he wanted to be a part of the two of them, and Trump waved them off and said, "Get out." Like, he didn't want Macron to come in there because he's a weird guy anyway, Macron, and he basically
waved him off.
He waved them off.
But everybody wore a suit but Vlad at the Pope's funeral.
I don't get it. I mean,
I don't get it. Dude, you got to show some respect. Put a suit on.
By the way, if you want, I want to give a little shout out. You mentioned boys. I got to tell you something. A friend of mine today called me up, and he went to Skinny Joey's Cheesesteaks in Philadelphia. That's Joey Merlino. He has a successful podcast, but he opened up a cheesesteak place in Philadelphia. My friend said there was a line that was outside there. He was there greeting people. He's a celebrity there. He was taking pictures with people. And more importantly, they said that his cheesesteaks are fantastic, that they are great. And that's like on a scale of Philadelphia cheesesteaks, they say it's one of the best that they've had. So he's got a winner. He has a winner in there. And I think he could franchise it.
But how does he get the rolls? Like, rolls
He's making it.
I know in Philly, but if you franchise it, let's say to Orlando, how do they get those great bread rolls?
Well, either you have it flown in or you give them the formula on how to make it. Like Angelo's is making their own rolls in all their places. I'm not sure, but if I was living in Los Angeles and you wanted a cheesesteak, I don't want to go to some guy that just says Philly cheesesteak and it's some steak-um with some stuff. Well, you want a legitimate one. Right. Joey has the ability to have a real spot.
Go, Joey.
I think
we're rooting for you, pal.
And everybody's wearing merch. He said everybody has merchandise. I think he's killing it.
All right.
But anyway,
good guy.
Anyway, you got Mike Walsh today going back. He was let go of the national security.
So what do you think he did there? I mean, he had the reporter's name on his super secret phone. I mean,
that's pretty bad.
Is he like a leaker? I mean, he's national security advisor. What do those words mean? Why are you the leaker?
Well, he also got nominated now to be the UN ambassador.
How did he pull that off?
I think Trump liked the guy.
Right.
I think he truly likes him. The guy did give up being a congressman. Like this guy, by the way, not only did he give up being a congressman, he could have ran for governor. He was like a 3-time, 4-time congressman that you could count on. So he gave up his thing for Trump. This one mistake, it's not exactly like the guy from that Biden had that like disappeared. Lloyd Austin literally had surgery and disappeared. No one got fired. The Afghanistan withdrawal. No one got fired. Donald Trump gets rid of people. Maybe he said, you know what? I got another job for you. It's not as intense.
It's crazy. He's so loyal that way. Why'd he do that? I mean, the guy leaked. I mean, he was on that Apprentice. You're fired. You're fired. This guy leaked. Why is he giving him another job? I don't know. But I will tell you, Billy, Trump's caddy, at the golf course, sent me a picture of Billy in the Oval Office. Cole put it up on the show. Billy is Marudis. Billy Marudis was in the Oval Office next to Trump at Trump's desk.
Listen, when you're
pretty good.
When you're a caddy,
shout out to you, Billy.
When you're a caddy for somebody that is 77 years old,
78
years old, that is the club champion, playing from the blue tees, not like the senior event. He played from the tees and they beat a 36-year-old kid. Hey, the caddy has to have some role in that. I know you're against caddies because we've had our talk. I said they deserve everything they get.
No, look, maybe
Billy got the Oval Office.
Billy got Air Force One in the
Air Force One Oval Office. That's a picture you could tell everybody.
Oh my God, that's worth like in an auction. Where Warren Buffett auctions off a lunch for $3 million. What's Air Force One and Oval Office worth at an auction? No matter who the president is.
And by the way, there was a cabinet meeting yesterday, and just to let you know,
that's a big table, isn't it? How many people sit at that table?
You know what a breath of fresh air is? Not only do you see everybody there, from Marco Rubio.
I don't like it.
I'll tell you what I like about it.
I don't like it.
Everybody had a hat in front of them. Do you know what the hat said?
What?
It didn't say Make America Great. It said Gulf of America.
Oh,
so they had Gulf of America. But at the head seat, you didn't have to worry about Jill Biden running a cabinet meeting with the Secretary of Defense, a Secretary of State, Secretary of Energy. I mean, this was Secretary of Health.
But did you ever sit at a big meeting like that? Nobody says, nothing ever gets done in a meeting that has 40 people around the table.
They did, though. It
wasn't get anything done. It's like everybody grandstanding and talking and yakking.
Everybody said what they were working on. So you had...
it's your turn. Tell us what you're working on. It's your turn. It's your turn.
And they all did. And you had...
Do you see Elon Musk had 2 hats on?
He has 2, and he talked about his office and everything. Yeah, but you had Linda McMahon.
I like her.
She talked about schools. There's a major decision being done at the Supreme Court right now that can change education. It's, can you have a charter school, a religious charter school? And I think they're going to win. And if that's the case, you'll be able to have all these different charter schools opening up that you can now say, I don't want to learn. You could have a better school without the teachers union. And that way you can take your voucher.
I mean, I think that you have to, if you do that, it has to be a bigger, wider scale. I mean, I don't know how you get your arms around that. It has to be.
If they give you a voucher and you could open up a school and say
it has to be for everything. I mean, how do you just isolate it to
no, it's like a private school. And they take your vouchers. By the way, do you know what a public school kid, what it costs a public school?
$66,000.
That's less.
Is that what it costs?
It's about 70.
I just threw that out
70.
there.
It's actually 70.
I just made that up.
It's 70 though. But 70,000.
That's what college is.
But if you go up to if you take a school and let's say you only have 100 kids in there, that's enough to pay your teachers because you don't need to have, all these different. You could have a great education.
But these private schools, the teachers make a lot less than in the public schools. Like a public school. Because when I was selling all those houses over the years, I always would look at everybody's financial statement. I had an opportunity to look at yours. It was 114 pages. I couldn't go through it all.
Yeah,
but normally it's 2 pages. But, a public school teacher who does not work in the summer, gets all the holidays off, gets generous pension, makes about $150,000 a year. It's a lot of money. A private school teacher may make 80.
Yeah, but you can now raise them because now you could be in demand and you might be able, with all the red tape and the other stuff. Don't forget, you don't have a sports program. You don't have this. You don't have union
But
dues.
how's the union ever going to allow it? It's not going to happen.
If the Supreme Court allows this to happen, you bypass it because now you have a charter school. This is a big
It's
decision.
huge. It's huge.
And it's Oklahoma is who brought it.
Yeah.
So if Oklahoma gets it, let me tell you something. If you're in the inner city and you don't want your kid to go to a horrible school, you could open up a charter school and you have 60,000. Now here's the corruption will come in, of course, because it's $60,000 or $70,000 for each kid. Somebody's going to skim off the top in the blue cities.
Gabby, you know what? I'm craving a cheesesteak now. Where can we go down here to get a cheesesteak? I mean, since you brought it all up, I'm really craving one on a great roll with some hot peppers.
Can we talk about how we got Governor Whitmer to?
Yeah, go ahead. We're over our limit.
He uses them.
Always.
How great is it that she has no idea? She covered her face up, and yesterday he did something with the military by giving them fighter jets there, and he called her up there again. And she had to say, "Thank you, Mr. President."
He's a boss. I mean, the guy is. I mean,
he has Tim Walsh like the.
But how about he had the Eagles in the White House?
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, and some of the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl, and some of the Eagles were objecting. But the owner, Jeff Lurie, went. He's a major left Democrat.
Barkley played, had a catch with your favorite Ivanka Trump.
Right, but look. I don't care what side of the spectrum are. If you win the Super Bowl and you're invited to the White House, I'm sure the guy's very gracious. I don't know. I didn't watch the whole thing, but
speaking of Ivanka Trump, since she's friendly with Jeff Bezos, Amazon the other day was going to put on their thing what the prices of the tariffs were going to cost you, so you could put down there.
Oh, you think she got her father on the phone?
No, he called. Donald Trump called Jeff Bezos on the phone.
Because of her daughter? You think he did that?
Well, I think he feels like he has the type of thing. And you know what? Bezos immediately said it's not going to happen, didn't do it. And I think that he has – I think that there's a lot of people that are scared that they came out that, like Marco Rubio said, that were spying on people.
Now, do you think Donald gets invited to Bezos' wedding? With Lauren Sanchez? It's coming up in 4 weeks. We're not on the list,
Yes, but he's not going to go. But his daughter will be there. Ivanka will be there.
But you don't think that he's going to invite Donald Trump to have the President of the United States?
I think he'll invite him, and I think Donald Trump won't go.
Why do you say that? Donald Trump will go to the opening of a window.
Not really, because you know what? A lot of people think, people that invite Michael Jordan to a lot of weddings. He doesn't go to a lot of weddings because he doesn't want to upstage the actual wedding.
Well, Donald Trump wants to upstage.
Yeah,
the
Donald Trump does want. I don't. You know what? Maybe it's a world with world leaders there and everything.
I think it's on his yacht somewhere. I think it's out on his $500 million.
How many people can you invite on the yacht?
His yacht, a lot.
What's a lot?
500 people.
You think he can get 500?
Yeah.
What do you think it is? A cruise ship?
Yeah, it's gigantic. It's gigantic. I'm sure he could get 500 people. We're not on the list, so it doesn't matter.
Are you going to be? Speaking of. Events and everything. Are you going to the Miami Grand Prix coming up?
No, it's this weekend.
You're not doing it?
No, I'm not going to it. I mean, have you ever been to a Grand Prix?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Those cars go so fast. No, I mean,
it's a little loud.
Not only that, it's going to be a shit show in Miami. You won't be able to move around, won't be able to get an Uber, won't be able to park, won't be able to eat, won't be able to stay in a hotel room. So why go?
So you're showing your age right now? And you're
right. I'll watch it on TV. I have a front row seat on a nice sofa, refrigerator there, bathroom there.
I watched my tennis guy, Tommy Paul, yesterday. He played this guy, Draper, who's really good. I never saw my guy get wiped so bad.
Was he wearing a D Bethune?
He was, and it didn't do the job because he got wiped. Like, it was like crazy. So hopefully, Tommy, you get back on the horse again and you do something.
All right, folks, we went over today, but it was a spirited show. Govy won once again. I lost all points.
Maybe Joey can open up a cheesesteak place in Boca Raton where he lives.
Wow, that would be great.
He would do great.
I would go tonight. I'm dying for it. You got it in my head. I'm hungry for a cheesesteak.
Well,
all right, folks.
We'll see.
Have a great week.
'Cause I'm on